Welcome, man. Welcome back, everybody, to the OK Grognard Show. Today is Monday, May 16th, 2022, 10 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. We're going to continue delving into the magic items section of the Dungeon Master's Guide from First Edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, if you're familiar. No green screen today. I moved it. I'm setting up a new section in my place to handle videos going forward, and that was one of the bigger projects, taking that down and rehanging it in another location. So that's going to take a little bit of finagling, but in the meantime, the show must go on. So here we are. I think I have everything set up because we went through potions last time, and this time we're looking at scrolls. And again, we were just working on the table last time. We'll work on the table this time. It is a interesting thing. The potions more so maybe because of the larger swing toward generalized potions that were inexpensive. Probably not a surprise. Hey George, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for popping into the chat. For Whitefish Bay, Coanza I've got no idea. 40. How you doing? Do I know you? Are you someone who is I know from other social media? Feel free to let me know wherefore I know you and what drew you to popping in the stream here. I'd appreciate it, and I appreciate you being here. Hey, look at that! Wow, starting to hop in there. Prometheus is in the chat. Good to see you. The scrolls section is pretty straightforward. I mean, 60% of it is scrolls about scrolls that include spells on them. And after that, you've got, as you can see from this here, a ton of protection scrolls. The last 3% reserved for cursed scrolls. Just to take a look, level 1 spells take you up 19% overall out of the for the roll, random roll. And the first 10% 1 to 4 level spells, which is actually quite high when you think about it, because you've got to be a 7th level magic user to cast a 4th level spell, if it is indeed a magic user spell. But let's just use that as kind of the baseline for now, although cleric spells are obviously very useful, and of course you can have scrolls from other types of casters, illusionists. Um, but I think the thing to consider here is the fact that 10% of all scrolls, if you randomly roll them, will have up to 4th level spells. That's pretty crazy, but very useful. Now, it is not to say that people can cast these spells right out of the gate. Here, Sarah, thanks for stopping in. Oh, you've been in the game store a couple of times. Yeah, I help manage the place over there. It's a good time. Sarah's a regular. George has been in. Mike has been in. And it's a good time for sure. We were hopping on Saturday. We were so crowded. We had war games going on and board games going on, and we had a ton of magic happening. EDH yesterday, Sunday, there was a 5th edition D&D game. A dad, his 2 boys, and 2 of their friends running a game on the regular at the store now. fine family, and they're not even just D&D players because they also pick up some Warhammer stuff too. They like the models and kind of getting into that. So it's really nice that so many of the people that play at the store play multiple genres of games, if you will. If you're looking at wargaming, role playing, collectible card games, and board games. So I think that's wonderful. Let's see. First 19%, one spell. Two spells for another 8%. Three spells for another 8%. Yep. Four spells again. Five spells, same. Six spells. Seven spells. There's an interesting one here. And, shouldn't gloss over this. The third iteration of just getting one spell has a pretty high probability of being a high level spell. Notice this asterisk, and I think we should pop over here and have a look because it's an important thing. 30% of all scrolls are of a clerical nature. 71 to 100 on the die roll, he suggests. And 25% of all clerical scrolls are druidical. 10% of all magic user scrolls are illusionists. This applies only to scrolls rolled in the first 60%. Above asterisked numbers indicate clerical spell levels. So, if this is a magic user or illusionist spell, I suppose, it can be 2 to 9, 1d8 plus 1. If this single spell is for a cleric, then you determine it this way, 2 to 7, 1d6 plus 1. So, mystery solved on the asterisks, but it's interesting that it pushes that one spell up a little bit, not just can't be a first level anymore like these can over here. I mean, it can still be a second level spell, so it could be worse than a fourth level spell rolling on this higher percentage chance of getting it. In any event, that goes down through the second iteration of each of these. Two spell scrolls could be higher level, three spell scrolls could be higher level, so on and so forth, all the way down to a scroll with 7 spells. I mean, you're really hitting the jackpot here, aren't you? 4 to 9, d6 plus 3, spell level range. You have a scroll with 7 spells on it. So let's say for a magic user, all in the range of 4 to 9th level spell level. That's pretty powerful. And of course, there's only 1% chance of getting such a scroll. These others here, protection from demons, these are usable by many folk, not just any isolated class. Protection from demons, there's one for devils, elementals, lycanthropies, magic, very useful, petrification, possession, and undead. The percentage chances are all pretty tame. A little higher for elementals for one reason or another, and lycanthropies. It seems to go up there. Just 2% chance for demons, 2% chance for devils. I think the idea isn't so much that they need to be rare, but rather they're rare because, they probably don't get a lot of use. It's not every day some country bumpkin who picked up a sword is going to be the next paladin in hell. So you got to figure how useful are all of them. George mentions pretty high spell level ranges. Yeah, indeed, and about 30% to land on the 3 to 7 spells and then level. Yeah, and that's the 3 there to 7. It's a large percentage. You definitely have a good chance of getting more than one spell on a scroll. I guess that's an oft overlooked and good point to make, George. Protection from undead's pretty useful and handy. We'll get back to that bit about the curse. In fact, you know what? Let's look at that section right now because it's right here. Double asterisk, curse, boom. It is incumbent upon the dungeon master to do his utmost to convince players that a cursed scroll should be read. This is to be accomplished through duplicity, coercion, and threat, etc., i.e., any scroll not read has a chance of fading in normal air. But this can be noted by the archaic wording if read in the still dungeon atmosphere. A curse takes effect immediately. Suggested curses are, and note the percentages, 1 to 25% chance, the reader is polymorphed to a monster of equal level which attacks any creatures nearby. And I assume he means to include the player characters that are part of the adventuring party as well. 26 to 30% reader turned to liquid and drains away. That's pretty cruel. 31 to 40% chance reader and all within 20 feet radius, 20-foot radius, transported 200 to 1,200 miles in a random direction. I hope not up or down. 41 to 50% chance reader and all in 20-foot radius transported to another planet, plane, or continuum. Lacking an Oxford comma on that after plane. 51 to 75%. Disease fatal to reader in 2 to 8 turns unless cured. Does not give you a lot of time. If you did not take a cure disease or have it on a scroll, that is the cleric of the party, most of the time that's going to mean death. 76 to 90% chance explosive runes. Runes. Those are, like the spell, those are runes demarked on the scroll that then just blow up in your face. So nasty, can do some damage, probably get a saving throw. So survivable, depending on what level you are. 91 to 99% chance. That is magic item nearby is demagicked. I hope it's not the Paladin's Vorpal Sword. He would not be happy. And if you're holding a Staff of the Magi as you read this, trouble there. Percentage 100 only randomly rolled spell effects reader at 12th level of magic use. So you would randomly roll, probably first 1 to 4 if you're just playing core books in first edition for magic user, cleric, druid, and illusionist, and then you would roll a random spell based on the spell tables there, and whatever it is. I mean, it could be simple. It could be as simple as create water, and then you just have it do it over your head or something, right? Or it could be an unseen servant. You might have an unseen servant just untie your shoes or do something fun with it. But it doesn't have to be lethal, whatever it is. It could be fanciful and fun. I mean, they're losing a scroll anyway. They got a cursed scroll, so they didn't get something more useful already. That in and of itself is kind of nasty. Don't read scrolls, especially if pressed to, said Sarah. Noted. I will not be liquefied. Fair enough. That is I think that's a motto that people should often profess. I will not be liquefied. There you go. So that is the section on scrolls, the table on scrolls. Um, we should go over this though, because it's part of it, really. Experience point value. This is regarding the scrolls awarded only to characters who can use the spells. The award should be 100 XP per spell level. So if you get a scroll with 5 spells and they're all 5th level, 2,500 experience, but just for the person who can cast them. Now, here's a question, and this is one of those you would have to adjudicate it if you were a DM type of questions. Such, first time chatter from viewer. Buy follows. Oh, we got ourselves a little spammerooski here, huh? Hmm. Yeah. There we go. Pardon me while I boot someone out of the. There we go. Blocking a spammer. Let's report them anyway. Always good to make sure. Spamming channel. There's my report. Done and done. Pardon the interruption. The if there are two, so here's the DM question. If there are two magic users in the party, both of whom are 9th level, so both could cast 5th level spells, and you give the party, through randomness or in a treasure in some way or another, a scroll of 5 spells, and each is a 5th level spell, and they can both cast all of these spells, then the question is, according to this, awarded only to characters who can use the spells. The award should be 100 XP per spell level. Protection scrolls are noted as to XP value on the table itself, so that's above. But if both can use it, but only one of them actually carries the scroll and actually uses it, is only one of them capable or given the experience points? Do they split it? Do they each get that much experience? Something you'd have to decide. Personally, I would suggest it goes to the character who's actually carrying and using the scroll. And if they decided to split it, pass some of that experience on to the other magic user. Gold piece sale value. Any scroll can be sold in the open market, quote unquote, for 3 times its XP value. Protection scrolls sell for 5 times their XP value. So zipping back up to the protection scrolls, you'll notice demons 2,500 for devils, 1,500 experience for elementals, 1,000 for lycanthropes, were creatures, 1,500 protection from magic, 2,000 petrification, 2,000 from possession, and 1,500 from undead. So that's a sweeping undead thing, I assume. Well, we'll read the description later on, but levels of undead, it still protects you, whether it's skeletons or wraiths, which makes it pretty useful. Lycanthropy, obviously, there are multiple kinds of lycanthropes, whether they're were-rats, were-boars, were-bears, werewolves, and more, were-jackals. But what seems to be less valuable, according to Gary and company. Starting to get a little noise out there. Pardon the background noise if you're hearing that. So we get the gold piece values. Next, we'll move on to rings. But I'll tell you what, we're going to cut this one short since we're there on 20 minutes already. Rather than dive into that, we will save that for next time. I think that would be best. But I want to thank everybody. Oh, wait a minute. George is making a point. If a player attempts to add one of the scroll spells to their spell book, that's one shot for that spell right away. Any repercussion if it fails? That's an interesting question. Um, as far as, well, you'd lose the value of it, right? You wouldn't get to throw it later. Igor is in the chat. Their wolf, their castle. The um, the spell fails, you'd lose the value of the scroll, which is a kick in the punch in the gut already. So I don't know how much you want to punish someone further for the failure. Um, I mean, it doesn't cause like an explosion or anything like that. Um, I guess you might determine whether or not it damages the rest of the scroll if there were other things on there. I suppose that's a possibility. But I would just straight up say, well, you lost the one spell off of the scroll. You tried to transfer it. It got messed up in the transfer. You don't have it in your book, but no harm to the book. It's no longer on the scroll, but no harm to the scroll. The other spells are still on the scroll. It's a shame. It doesn't mean you can't pick it up from elsewhere, but of course you still have to roll to know the spell or add it into if you're allowing choosing of spells. I know often the convention was to let players, as they advance a level, choose one castable spell that they can add to their book as a freebie. They'd have to roll to see if they knew it, but they at least get to pick. It wasn't random. Um, in the case of this, to be able to transfer it from the scroll to the book, you would have to be able to cast it. You'd have to be able to know the spell. So that would be another thing that you'd have to consider when making that transfer. Another point on picking up somewhere else if failed. Oh yeah. It's something you can create adventures around, right? If it's a spell that somebody really really wants, it may well be that they need to go search for it, find out where it is, and procure it for the book. Never being able to know a spell doesn't happen with scrolls. No, you have to know them. You got to be able to know them to cast. You have to know them to cast them. Well, no, that's not really true, is it? You can cast them off of the scroll. You know, I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to look into that. Um, but to put it in the book, you definitely have to know it. Not 100% sure. Anybody else in the chat recall that rule? I think I'm of a mind that when you look at the scrolls, when you look at the spells on the scroll, if you don't know the spell, you can't read it in the first place. So you'd have to be able to. Although people often say, I've played in games where other DMs would say, yeah, you can just cast it right off the scroll as a one time. It disappears. You lose it forever. And I think in those cases, you did not have to know the spell to be able to do that. So it may be you roll when you see the spell, see if you can know it. If you actually do know it, it becomes one of your minimum to maximum spells that you know of any given spell level, right? And then if you do know it, it's something you can transfer into a spell book, but if you don't know it, you can still cast it off of the scroll. I guess that satisfies all options there. Yeah, I'd go that way. In any event, any other questions? I guess probably not. I do want to thank everybody for showing up today, and it's good chat. Appreciate everybody chiming in and coming up with questions and interesting points. Welcome to our first timers, our new folk here. It's always appreciated. Bye bye, spam bot. It was nice to know you. It's a shame you couldn't stick around. In any event, I do want to thank everybody and just say have a great day. Thanks for joining us on the OK Grognard Show to discuss the first edition AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide section on magic items. We went over scrolls today. We'll continue with rings next Monday. It should be a hoot. The show streams live on Twitch each Monday at 10 a.m. Central and is then archived on YouTube. If you do join us on Twitch, by all means, follow the channel and chime in on the chat stream while you're here. It's always appreciated. Enjoy the interaction. If you catch up with it on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up on any videos you watch and enjoy, and feel free to comment. Don't forget to also ring the little bell when you subscribe. That way you can be notified whenever a new show video is uploaded to the channel. I want to thank our Patreon supporters. Links are provided in the show notes. Tom Tellis of Fat Dragon Games, Rick Hershey of Fat Goblin Games, Carlos Lysing, Castle Entertainment, Heath Farndon of the Antipode and D20, Dave O'Brien of 4 Quacks Games, and Shane Bradley, DM Extraordinaire. Very much appreciated. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Have a great day. Bye-bye.